Ooh, this is it too.
I'm with it. Like there's some. I was very young when I wrote it down, and I did the comparison. And then our duty is to like pave the path.
Jesus, she's another one.
The Muslim thought he was being very, like he was being very deceitful and crafty. So he started ringing the bell. And the Christian got down on his knees and said, "Oh Lord, thy will be done." And he pulled it out and boom, into his mouth. Right? Now the Christian had one of his buddies call out to the prayer. Allahu Akbar. So the Muslims just got down and prostrated, and the Christian went all up in his ass. Right? And you know what happened? The Muslim said, "You know what? I should have followed the Prophet." When the Prophet said, "Trust God, but tie your horse." Me, I trusted God, but he gave up my ass. I should have tied my ass. See, things happen, bro. Things happen in this world. Strange things happen in this world. So I don't know why you guys are so crazy about, no, man, I don't want to become Muslim. Look, being a Muslim, you get free tickets, you get, extra sides. I mean, and plus, you get to go to heaven. Free Viagra. Like the Viagra pill just never dies off. It's testosterone galore. Imagine everyone. I'll tell you something interesting about Islam, right? So Gabriel came to Muhammad and saw him sleeping and went back up and said, "Oh Allah, your beloved is sleeping." God, and Allah said, "No problem, let him rest." Went, sent him back the second time and came back and said, "Oh Allah, your beloved is busy fulfilling his human desires." Allah was a little peeved and he said, "Okay, no problem. He deserves, he's only human," right? And sent him back the third time and saw that Muhammad was busy with two of his wives, Safiya and Aisha, in an orgy. And he came back and said, "Ya Allah, what do I do? Your prophet is busy pleasing his wives." And Allah said, "Kuniya pedersak." Go back and tell him I've sent him to send a message, not to get a fucking massage. Anyway, the story. So, shit happens. Dude. Islam is really easy, folks. Islam is really easy. Damn. It's funny. I feel kind of, I feel like I feel a bit ironic. Let's put it that way, right? When the Abbasids went to get the Mahdi, he went into the sewage and they couldn't find him. Dude, his name is not even Mahdi, Muhammad ibn al-Askari. Like, how the fuck they even changed the name? Bro, I know, but if I say Muhammad ibn al-Askari in front of a 2-year-old, you're gonna give him trauma. I mean, just imagine. Anyway, so I'll say something even more interesting. So when the Abbasids came after the Mahdi, right, the guider, right, the guide, if I slant the word a little bit, it's more like the guide, basically. Where are you from, though? Anyway, originally. Well, I'm from the Middle East. Okay. Now, but you're my brother, bro, anyway. Wherever you are, I'll tell you later, but, this is how it goes. So, they couldn't find him, and they're still trying to find him. I'm a bit, a bit kind of feel like Hussein betrayed Khamenei, because when Khamenei went underground, it didn't take long for the bunker busters to get him. What happened to the Said effect? Didn't work? Shit. Somebody needs to get their money back. Right? By the way, just to let everybody know, Khomeini was so destined for glory, he died on a toilet. I mean, shit doesn't get more real than that. No pun intended.
Imagine
dying while you're taking shit. Your friends from Illinois 6. Friends. Imagine. 5 seconds, right? For 5 seconds.
Dude, we're talking about Khamenei guy. He's been on the ground for about a week more right now. How many days?
Well, look, they're not hiding. They're just trying to find the Mahdi. So
this guy's not even buried. Like, they have to do it. The smell is everywhere, bro.
they asked Mustafa Khamenei, why did you go underground? He said, I was busy talking to the Mahdi.
And you know what they realized? Mustafa's wife eventually were in one part of Beit Rahbari, which is like the house of this fucking Khamenei piece of shit. And she, imagine like Mustafa's wife, is hanging out with another mullah, which is apparently to be known as the Khamenei's groom. Okay? What the fuck they were doing with each other? Since, Donald Trump announced, like, Mustafa has some kind of an LGBTQ, homosexuality in him. So, what your wife was doing in that part with the groom of Khamenei?
During the Iran-Iraq war, Khomeini gave a lot of the Sepah members a key, right? A key. And told them, look, as long as you wear this key, when the Iraqi soldier kills you, heaven is promised to you. Jannat al-Firdaus, basically the highest level of paradise.
Yeah,
right?
Firdaus. Firdaus, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
It doesn't get any more paradisical than that. So, what's interesting, one of the soldiers was being very conscious. He was very down to earth. He looked at the key and it said, made in China. Do you know?
What?
So, how do you expect to enter heaven with a key made in China? How?
Bro, if you believe that, if you kill...
If you guys read Khomeini, you know what's interesting? If you guys read Khomeini's book on a serious note, and you can fact check me on this, right? But Mark Zuckerberg can go and take a deep one. You can fact check me on this. Khomeini has a book called Tahrir al-Wasila. Tahrir al-Wasila.
Yeah, okay.
Tahrir al-Wasila means basically the liberties. Let me just translate it very briefly. Basically, the liberties of a Muslim.
Yeah, explaining the Islam's, moralities and the freedom in Islam. Yeah, okay,
so
I get it.
Saying if your wife is under the age of 9 and she cannot withstand wata or penetration, what you can do is be a bit more libertine. Take your pee out and put it between her thighs and start thighing her. Tafkhis. And that's basically what it is. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know why Epstein is really such a big idea in the West. I mean, you have Khomeini, you have Mohammed. Why is Epstein such a big deal?
Dude, like Epstein was actually trying to imitate Muhammad, trying to copy whatever he did back in the times, in the current times. And he actually got crucified. You know why? Because you were doing it in the United States. You don't go around there and do all that fucking crazy shit and be crucified. But if you're traveling to the Middle East, especially if you're under the Sharia laws in Iran, you can live in paradise on earth. You didn't need like any behind the scenes deals with for human trafficking. As you know, there were like images that DJ just released, and you can see the close ties between Erdogan, IGC, and Jeffrey Epstein. What they eventually would do is to do the human trafficking and also the organs they used to actually use to do business of selling people's organs to, I don't know, Jeffrey or whoever is trading on in the West. It was estimated around like $200 million per year. So, what does it prove to you?
Which is saying that at a time
if you have one Epstein, we have the whole Islamic Republic, which each one of them
like
is some like 10x more
Yes.
dangerous than Etsy.
I think he would have been pivotal in the prevention of the Islamic takeover. After the
2 centuries of silence. Are you talking about that?
No, 23 years, Mr. Islam. He thinks Ali Dashti. Ali Dashti published this book in 1937, and I think it is one of the
That was the Bible actually was terrorized by Muslims, right?
Ali or 23 which chronicles the emergence of Islam at its founding stages, the conquest of Mecca. And of course, he talks about the renunciation after Islam, because one of the renunciation Islam, they did actually make outcomes did leave Islam for a couple of weeks. But when the Prophet said, was trying to somehow prevent of religion because the majlis or the council of the religious were really galvanizing people against him at the time, and he didn't want to give them any kind of cannon fodder. But Ali Dashti, before he passed away, he said something very interesting. He said, if my book was not banned in Iran at the time for political purposes, the Iranian youth would have hanged Khomeini by his intestines. Okay? By his intestines. So, and I find it quite interesting that nobody has heard of someone like Ali Dashti, not even in the world of Western University. So when people say that there were no critics of Islam or that everybody was just a passive consumer of Islam, not really. You guys forget that despite the ethnic diversity in Iran did not become Muslim until about the late Safavids. Like Islam did not spread as such. The Assyrian historian from Iraq, his name is Wadi al-Juwayda, he says when it comes to the major assassinations of Muslim leaders and their imposition, many of them were carried out by basically what is now known as Iranian people, or Iranian people, from Omar to Ali to others. So when people say that this, how did they know? That's not true. Iran did not become Muslim.
Imagine us mourning for Hussein ibn Ali, the third Imam of Shiayan Dunya. Imagine, only 1% of percentage of the Muslim around the world would know who is Hussein ibn Ali. The rest, they don't even know who the fuck he is, or what the fuck am I even talking about, right? Imagine we as Persians, we were forced to mourn for this guy past 1400 years plus. And it was same. Like doing these fucking crazy bloodthirsty rituals for him in Muharram, okay, which he participated in killings and massacring Persian people in Tabaristan, which is the northern side of Iran, which is known as Mazandaran these days, okay. He and his brother, Hassan ibn Ali, right? By the orders of Omar, directly they attacked him there. They wanted to conquer that castle. They killed 700 men. They wanted to fucking give them asylum. They didn't do that. They didn't.
When Hussein came to Karbala, and he was confronted with Yazid's army, basically the second Javanese army of the Umayyad Empire, or Umayyad Kingdom later on. And Hussein came into the tent. He was panicking, gasping for air. He said,
Oh, fuck.
his wife
Yo, fuck.
He came into the tent, right? He says, "What is it, baby? What do you want?" And baby said, "You." And then that's when Hussein was trying to recourse back to Iran and said, "You're bad, Peter." So shit happens, man. But you can fact check me on this. Wali Nasser speaks about this. And this actually feeds the Islamic version of nationalism in Iran that somehow, we should be more Shiite because Hussein wanted to seek refuge in Qum.
Well, if a guy like me wants to say fuck Hussein, I don't give a fuck who was Hussein or who's not to be Hussein. What the fuck is that? Fuck Islam thing. Fuck this Allah guy.
This is how Khomeini was trying to not shake, the nationalism, because he knew nationalism was, or the idea of nationhood and identity was so deep rooted. That's why they had to adapt and create these kind of mythologies to convince people that, look, see, Hussein was on your side, but that's not true. Hussein came into the tent and asked, gasping for air, baby.
Dude, he literally simply stole Yazid's baddie. Like back in the time, they were fighting over a bitch named what? Orainab, right?
Yeah, literally. And it's just interesting. Nobody should. If you come from any part of the world, right, and you don't like Arabs and you don't like colonialism and all of that stuff, you shouldn't claim to be a Sayyid, because Sayyid means that your great grandmother, was busy doing the against the will. So don't claim to be a Sayyid, So when Khamenei or others say that we are Sayyid, they're basically saying that we're Arab bastards.
Oh, Alpha. Who wants to come up? So apparently this guy says researcher of what? Comparative
not this guy, man.
What? And the Quran, PhD in applied science.
Listen, you know what's interesting about this guy? He sounds like, when he speaks, he says war on. It sounds like a Persian who learned Arabic in India and decided to go to Madagascar and change his name to Toto. What's going on here?
Did you see, these days, I'm seeing Pakis, Afghanis trying to advocate for my country, telling my Persian ass how to fucking defend my country, not to root for the United States, not to be a traitor or whatever. Do you see it these days? A Pakistani or Afghani guys trying to tell my Persian ass how to defend my own country? Do you see it these days?
A Pakistani was one day telling me, you guys have no identity, you Middle Easterners are. I said, listen, if you look at some of the countries, some of the lands, some of the histories in the Middle East, they go back thousands of years. I'm talking more than 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 years to the Neolithic age. But if we talk about Pakistan, bro, you go back to 1947. But I will tell you what a Pakistani is. A Pakistani is an Arabized Hindu with a British passport. Have a great day, everyone.
Bro, you killed it. Look. I gotta put this.
I've been teaching over 10 years. Going on 12 years. Not one time. You have never seen me drink anything on the line. You have never seen me eat anything on the line. You've never seen me eat a meal. I don't even think you ever heard me cough on the line. Have you ever heard me sneeze on the line?
God bless all
Okay,
y'all,
so good, we get
the
it.
listeners, Pepe, Ocean, David. God bless Iran, United States, and Israel. All of them combined. Have a good night, guys.
That's why they had to adapt and create these kind of mythologies to convince people that, look, see,
Like the drones that drop bombs or anything. I'm talking like the drones that you see, like personal, hobby drones being used and like there's no way you can like intercept them because like they're so small and they're like wire guided. And there's a video that's going around. It just like flying openly and freely in a U.S. base in Iraq and just crash into a building. And there's nothing they could have done about it. It's like imagine being in Iraq thinking you safe.
Oh yeah.
You got the air defense. Right? You got the air defense system is up, and the drone just flies into your building. That's some scary shit, bro.
Bro, why couldn't they put some biological weapons in these drones? You just fly like 1,000 over and just drop them.
Don't give them any ideas, bro.
I was just thinking, like, bro, like, why do you need these things just to, like, blow things up when you could just drop some chemicals somewhere? Just, like, a little mini.
So I knock on your door, bro.
Thank you for the advice, Alex. Oleg's my attorney, so this is like should be covered by attorney-client privilege. Eric's own attorney, so this is like I hope. Oh, well, they're not speaking right
Please
now. I'm probably.
I will fucking kill you if you keep talking. Remember that?
The Palantir software is like beeping red right now. So,
yeah, that was the Wexler, right?
Yeah,
that was the Wexler deposition. That was so funny, bro. Did you see that, Eric? What the Democrats are doing the deposition of Wexler at his house, and they got the lawyer on the hot mic. Was like, if you fucking answer another question, or he said something.
He's like, he leaned over, smiling. He's like, if you answer any, I will fucking kill you. And then he continues laughing.
You were in the Matrix, bro.
nah, I heard them all.
Oh, you heard him? Oh,
Yeah.
I'll be there.
I didn't have to. That's the common sentiment.
There's the 5 words.
They don't know when to show up. I think Bill Clinton's lawyer wanted to say that to him in his congressional hearing he was in.
So,
did you guys watch it? It was weird too. It seemed like he was like getting like happy about
You
this.
saw that, Eric? Yeah, he was like reminiscing, like he had a flashback of when he was there, and he was.
I
like,
remember back in my day.
Wow, his lawyer, whoever it was, had to take the papers away from him. Like, oh, like doing that shit.
he grabbed it back. He grabbed it back.
He did.
I think
Hold
it
on,
was
let
a
me make
picture
sure.
of it was him and Epstein in the pool. That's the picture he was looking at. It's good times.
You know, as you guys were talking, I was looking at the range of the Iranian drones and also their size. So they vary in terms of range from 5 kilometers to 4,000 kilometers. And in terms of their size, it could be as wide as 15 meters, which roughly would be about 40 feet. So they're very large, the big ones. So I think even if there's going to be an attack, as a drone attack on the U.S., it is going to be small one. By definition, they cannot carry a big load. It would be, again, I'm not trying to.
Yeah, said God damn, man, please.
I ain't there yet,
Thank you, Jesus. Y'all ain't got no kids. Thank you. The more we can save humanity. Ooh, I'm so glad.
Afternoon, folks. When you get in there, remember you can write in a candidate for Congress. Please write in John Kitover.
Or even taking out the supreme leader and the very many under him. So I think just some faces were removed from the whole scenario, and the system stayed intact, which I would say is a failure on that part.
Yeah, big time. Somebody did not do their research on how much like the Shias like value martyrdom, right? Like that whole attack is it completely backfired, I think, and it's probably only just going to unite the Iranians.
But Mohammed, we actually did our research. Like U.S. national intelligence clearly warned Trump against this. They said regime change is going to be difficult. It's not happening. But if you remember, Trump does not like being contradicted. Once something comes out of his mouth, so many times he threw Tulsi Gabbard under the bus. He criticizes his own FBI if they don't do what he wants. He criticizes his own attorney generals if they don't do what they want. He criticizes his own intelligence director, right? So they came out and said that this is not going to happen. This is going to be difficult. But then once he made up his mind, and this was reportedly on a 4-hour flight back from Texas, that he was reluctant. He was probably listening to the intelligence. And then he had a phone call supposedly with Netanyahu and Mohammed bin Salman, and he says, "Oh, okay, I'm giving the order." So our intelligence basically did not suggest that regime change is going to be possible. But you know how Trump operates.
That's assuming that Trump is the one who made the call here, which I don't think is what happened. I think this is all Israel taking the lead and doing.
Well, yes, of course, but eventually, Trump. Eventually, it has to come from the president, right? The order has to come from the president, especially without congressional approval. So, absolutely, Israel, and not just Israel. Let's not downplay the role of Saudi Arabia.
I think more of like blackmail and pressure is kind of the factors that went into the decision. More so than like how long is it going to take and what's the best approach. I think it's more just like they're forced to go along with the insanity of whatever these Israelis are doing.
Yeah, but let's not forget the chief negotiator, the person who mind-boggling is still served as if like he's a career diplomat, was Jared Kushner. He was the one who went around. Remember, he was the one negotiating with the Iranians. But Jared Kushner has two real reliable friends. One is Netanyahu, and the other is Mohammed bin Salman. So it was his son-in-law who perhaps eventually, convinced him to basically go for it, because he was the guy with the. When
I say numbers, I mean it. I'm John Kitover, and I know how to keep a budget. When I say numbers, I mean it. I'm John Kitover, and I know how to keep a budget balanced and a sense of humor intact.
There's so much hierarchy within the system. Like Ghost is pointing out something.
A sense of humor intact.
To the way like the system is set, right? Each like the factions in the government, each operates as an individual unit. Did you guys know that? Departments. Each department doesn't need to consult the other to go forward and carry out an operation, because each is given their own duty based on an ideology, right? And these are just carried out
so
missions as and when necessary under
about?
extreme pressure, etc., etc. So this is something I don't think they knew of it even, like how a democracy works, which was the whole thing was modeled under Plato's the Republic.
Holy shit!
Always do one.
Against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, "You only have I known, of all the families.
Client got this blanket for me. Oh, that cowboy. My client. Oh, what?
I want to study what comes up in the feed. Just,
He's gonna.
in the middle of the streets, where a guy.
Really just. Pero manchadok.
Hey.
One penny.
Annie, bro, you straight my cousin, dog.
Sometime soon. However, it's gotten very. Oh my gosh. 10, 10, 10, 10.
That's why they have to adapt and create these kind of.
Humans, they first started cutting up things with knives and cutting them smaller and smaller to knowledge, just as fire doesn't burn itself. So there's always, and the contrary image of the time sequence is
Fuck your name is Andrew.
they thought that life is a system. What is it that makes you attracted to this person? We're being grateful. What do you do? Make it suspicious. Be shopping. Do you ever see it? What do you have?
My fellow citizen.
Flipping pancakes, we are flipping pancakes, skipping work breaks, damn I got a headache. Flipping pancakes, we are flipping pancakes, ripping different handshakes, catch me when a deal break. Flipping pancakes, we are flipping pancakes, skipping work breaks, damn I got a headache. Flipping pancakes. Flipping pancakes, we are flipping pancakes, skipping work breaks, damn I got a headache.
Madam Speaker, fellow citizens watching at home. For too long, Washington has been run by career politicians who talk tough back in Illinois and then vote with the party bosses here. Jerry LaHood is one of Madam Speaker. Fellow citizens watching at home. I'm lifting the emergency order.
Chicago belongs to its people again.
Chicago belongs to its people again.
Mayor John Kitover is known for a packed schedule.
I'm in the middle of the desert and look at this. An
It's a reminder to put a little more. For Chicago drivers and Chicago, you deserve.
Hey, do you need a place to worship this Sunday that focuses on Jesus Christ?
Yeah, I do, baby.
Never trust these kind of people. King of memes. He's the king of memes.
Form their government through peaceful means. And my end goal would be something in the form of like a constitutional theocracy, something like that. That's that. We just recognize them, take all the sanctions off, let them be a normal country. I think that would end everything.
Yeah, you explained the end, and I appreciate that. But I was just talking about the means to get there in terms of
diplomacy.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
You would stop talking to them.
Yeah, we'll stop bombing you if you agree to come to the table.
So, and again, as you were answering my question, so what would be your promise to them? I guess you mentioned that you'll stop bombing them and they will come to the table negotiating. What I have an idea. Basically, we're talking about the production of that production, enrichment of uranium.
No. I wouldn't even discuss that. I wouldn't care.
Sure.
I would tell them that we don't even care anymore. That's between you and Israel. Between us.
So okay, basically you will tell them we don't
That
care.
ain't between us, dog. That's between you
and then what do you expect?
and Israel. We ain't got nothing to do with it anymore.
To constitutional theocracy. Is that like you can have a ceremonial religious leader, but he has no political power? Like it has to be a democracy.
And what if they said fuck off?
Continue.
So I thought the Iranians had a good response here, bro. So this is the question that the reporter asked. And they were like, well, let's go down memory lane. First time we were negotiating 6 months ago, 2 days, we were supposed to meet in Moscow. And they did the 12-day war. This time we're in Geneva. Bahrain is facilitating. Negotiations going well. Everybody's saying it's going well. And then they bomb us on February 28th. Now they want to regroup, tell us come back to the negotiation table so they can reload or replenish their munitions and then attack us again? That was a good response. Like, fool me once, fool me twice. What the hell?
Yeah, that's why you launch a tactical nuke on one of their silos buried deep into the mountains of Tabriz, and that functions as a show of force to China and Russia. That, I mean, we've already lost all international credibility. At this point, we should just go full blown imperialist and just boots on the ground in Iran. Everyone dies that's in power, and then we cut up the country and steal all the resources.
Dude, when I was watching Trump's press conference, and just wipe it off there. You call it a preemptive strike.
Yeah, right.
3 times preemptive. So I was watching Trump's press conference, bro, and I was sitting here. I was like, bro, like, as a strategist, like, is this dude really playing 4D chess? Like, is he really using the Iranian conflict in the next phase to basically
invade Cuba?
No, to exit NATO, bro. Or to put so much pressure on the EU to so what you're seeing him do now is basically say, look, we do all this for them, and I told you guys, when we need them, they're not gonna be around. You see what I've been saying? We do all this for them, and they do nothing for us. And he just constantly just repeats it over and over. And people are going to start thinking that way. They're going to start looking at the EU when he talks about NATO increasing their spending from 2% to 5%. They're playing that secretary of the secretary of NATO saying, if you guys think that you guys are going to be able to defend yourself without America, good luck. You're wrong. They just keep playing that clip, bro. It's just now he's putting the EU on underneath the hotland. American taxpayers have supported you guys for a while. Now the president just needs you guys to go do a little bit of the thing. The war's done already. Just go do the little thing down there at the strait. And everybody's saying no. So let's see how many people bend the knee. Are they supposed to say yeah?
Negotiating 6 months ago, 2 days, we were supposed to meet in Moscow, and they did the 12-day war. This time we're in Geneva. Bahrain is facilitating negotiations going well. Everybody's saying it's going well.
2 weeks before,
and they bomb us on February 28th.
They denied it.
Now they want to regroup. Tell us come back to the negotiation table so they can reload or replenish their munitions and then attack us again.
And then if you look at their press,
here comes a good response.
Trump has
fool me once, fool me twice. What the hell?
The special relationship no longer.
That's why you launch tactical loop.
The relationship is rocky.
One of their silos buried deep into the mountains of Tabriz, and that functions as a show of force to China and Russia. We've already lost all international credibility. At this point, we should just go full blown imperialist and just boots on the ground in Iran. Everyone dies that's in power, and then we cut up the country and steal all the resources.
When I was watching Trump's press conference, just wipe it off there. You call it preemptive strike. Yeah, right. 3 times preemptive. So I was watching Trump's press conference, bro. And I was sitting here, I was like, bro, as a strategist,
busy flexing their Air
is
Force.
this dude really playing 4D chess? Is he really using the Iranian conflict in the next phase to basically invade Cuba? No, to exit NATO, bro. It's to put so much pressure on the EU to so what you're seeing him do now is basically say, look, we do all this for them, and I told you guys, when we need them, they're not going to be around. See what I've been saying? We do all this for them, and they do nothing for us. And he just constantly just repeats it over and over. And people are going to start thinking that way. They're going to start looking at the EU when he talks about NATO increasing their spending from 2% to 5%. They're playing that secretary of the secretary of NATO saying, if you guys think that you guys are going to be able to defend yourself in America, Good luck. You're wrong. They just keep playing that clip, bro. It's just like, now he's putting the EU on underneath the hot lamp. American taxpayers have supported you guys for a while. Now the president just needs you guys to go do a little bit of thing. The war's done already. Just go do a little thing down there at the Strait. And everybody's saying no. So let's negotiating 6 months ago, 2 days, we were supposed to meet in Moscow. And they did the 12-day war. This time we're in Geneva. Bahrain is facilitating negotiations going well. Everybody's saying it's going well. And they bombed us on February 28th. Now they want to regroup, tell us come back to the negotiation table so they can reload or replenish their munitions and then attack us again. That was a good response. Fool me once, fool me twice. What the hell?
Germany, France, these areas, you got to consider them and like the type of movements that you make around the world, especially when there's such a significant amount of them that support of, your group now. It could be upsetting to certain populations. People could start deploying terror cells that exist in the UK, or people could riot or start burning things down because they're sympathizing with Iran, right?
Yeah, that's a valid point, actually. That must be taken into consideration, particularly with the expansion of the Muslim immigrants to European countries. And they're vocal, they being the Muslim immigrants. And they could become reactionary and cause trouble in terms of terrorist activities in those countries. Yeah, I'm sure that goes into calculus of it's not going to be predominantly, it would not be the major impetus for example, for UK and France
negotiating
that way, helping with the war. That's not the main thing, but certainly would be consideration, which I did not think about that.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of people that are just like, I'm really glad you guys are doing that, but just don't involve me. I don't want to be a recipient of one of these drones or one of these ballistic missiles, so I'm out. So I think a lot of people are just waiting for Trump to leave.
So I'm just asking the same question I asked, which is what would I do as a president? So I think my major the major reasons, the one that we know of, there are three things. One is, of course, the enrichment of uranium by Iranians and their death set apparently to accomplish that. And I think the main reason being actually, just from my way of thinking, or not my way of thinking, it's just the Iranian, I'm not saying American, Israeli, Iran, Islamic Iran actually developed a nuclear war. So we'll have another North Korea on our hands. That's one serious concern, threat. I mean, that's the way I think they think, they being the US and Israel. And second is the production of these long-range ballistic missiles that potentially could reach Eastern European countries as well as the US, perhaps. And the drones is just in the same categories. And then the third one being this serious war by proxy in the region, which has destabilized, unstabilized the region in a big way. So those would be, if Iran would capitulate, basically say, look, we're just going to stop that. And that would be a good starting point for negotiating. But I don't think the Iranians would offer this concessions actually to they may give something. and also we add the security of the state of Hormuz, be the fourth, kind of condition. I think it would be necessary to have that. Maybe that should come first. And would Iranian government would agree to any of these to pull back or slow down or to stop doing this? And I'm not sure.
What about the fact that the Americans installed the Shah a long time ago? Everybody kind of goes post-Shah, but that's why, that in essence we just screwed things up, and we created the, there's an argument to be made, in my opinion, that we created the big mess that we don't like. Every time we kind of stick our thumb in, and I say us because I'm American, so I don't take personal responsibility, but it seems like Syria just to destabilize. I think we're a bigger destabilizer, at least equal to Iran and the whole region.
I think you're right.
You never know how to interpret silence. Well, nobody here, everybody is like dropping a lead balloon that I used to say in the old days. Yeah, but it seems conveniently, because I'm old enough, I remember all that shit. And it seems very convenient that that's never brought up. And then, what is it? I guess decapitating the leader. I mean, there's a lot of obvious. We're in the age of obviously all the propaganda both ways. I think he just screwed up. Trump just screwed up big time. They underestimated it. The neocons, I'll call them the neocons, they're very happy with this because this is part of that takeover and destabilize all the Arab countries and the Muslim countries even more so, I would say, because Iran or Persia is not Muslim. But this sounds like a good discussion you guys are having. I like it.
So just probably a minor kind of not a correction, just information. Iran is a non-Arab country, but certainly is 90-95% of people are Shia Muslims. To what extent they are now, but certainly that is actually the case. So it's a recognized Muslim country, but non-Arab.
Yeah, but there's a lot of enmity between Shia versus Sunni. You would agree with that, right?
Yeah, that's not the conversation.
Yeah, to just answer, yes, there is. From the ideological perspective, the religion itself and how the Shia sect was formed, and certainly, there are a lot of difficulties, wars, issues. You're correct.
And when you say then the Saudi Arabians aren't exactly sad about, well, when it seemed like it was going well, that Iran was getting shackled.
I thought that was unique when you talk about the U.S. and stuff, but really it's a Western concept that started after World War I, where it was the Ottoman Empire sided with the wrong people, and even though it's quote unquote modern times, the West did what historically what winners do. They start divvying up land, and they say this country is this, and here's the borders, and here's going to be the ruler. Did it from a historical stance, but at the same time, they create, the UN that establishes modern rules and definitions that the people that they divided up their land don't play by. They don't believe in. I think that's where the real issue started. You have 700 plus year
empire, the Ottoman Empire. And inside of that, I think they created something like 27 countries, just off the top of my head. I could be wrong about that, but I think it's around that number. And and then inside of that, like Iraq is the perfect example. You don't divvy it up into 3 little countries. You create one, and then these 3 factions that have hated each other constantly. You just try to think that they're gonna coexist. So I think it really starts at that. You could also mention the British mandate of Palestine, and then them allowing migration from East European Jews to go into Palestine, promising them protection, and then World War II happens, and then all of a sudden the UN is created, and British said, "Hey, we don't want anything to do with this anymore. You fucking deal with it." You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't think it's necessarily a U.S. thing, because you were talking about like the Shah and stuff. It's more of a Western trying to bring in a modern concept into a worldview, that area's worldview, where all they believe is divine concept. They don't believe in human concept. You know, like they just don't, they reject it flat out. And yeah.
Well, I think you made some good points. I hadn't plumbed the depths of my views on it. I just kind of stumbled on your room. Not as a big excuse, but I actually pretty much agree with. And you kept it even-handed because of Israel, the whole friggin' mess, right?
I tried.
You did a good job. Are you American?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm in Texas.
I'm from Tennessee originally. I'm a non-interventionist. I don't believe.
Oh yeah.
I don't believe that we should have started this with Iran. But I am an American ideologically, which means when we start something, we need to finish it. We need to get it over with. Now, that's not saying that we have to continue bombing.
Okay.
But we do have to, like, I totally open up to diplomatic concepts. Like, yeah. So, I'm not
to me, that's also very reasonable, Mr. Religious. You're so religious. So, are you a libertarian? Would that be the broad stroke?
I'm probably closest to libertarianism.
Yeah, I got some friends that moved to New Hampshire. There's a big bunch of that there. And the other fellow, is he Iranian? He's gone even, I guess. Yeah. Well, I like this room because, not everybody's chopping everybody else's head off.
That's rather ironic statement.
Well, you got a sense of humor too. It's another good stroke. I'm going to head off any jokes you make in the future. So are you an insomniac? Would you say that?
Who are you addressing?
You, Mr. Non-Religious.
No, I just have a job where I'm on call all the time, so.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that makes sense then. I'm trying to figure it out. I mean, it seems like the unanswered question. I mean, I have erratic sleep, so I'm up and at 'em just various times during the night and day, just the way I put together or have been. I kind of like it actually, but but I think you're probably unusual. I don't know. Well, actually, I don't know what. Nobody talks about it. So I've never heard anybody's just, unless you really, I guess maybe nobody cares. I find it a little fascinating. And some people that are on it all the time, that's the ones I wonder about. They're just, it can be 24 hours, you see their face up there, and most of the time they're talking. So
I'm going to start asking because it's a little I'm a curious cat. That seems incomprehensible how they have just. But I guess maybe regular social media, Facebook people did that too. And I'm just not used to it because this is the first social media I really got into. I have friends that want to move to Tennessee, or maybe they're there already, checking it out from Texas and other places because it's a little easier, quote unquote, to be free there.
So,
oh yeah,
we all say that, and the problem is that we want to get a point across very quickly. So what we do naturally is we generalize. And I'm not pointing a finger at you. I'm just saying to you.
Oh no, I know I was wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, and people take it. They don't see that side of it. They just see, oh my God, a genocidal statement's come in. We need to quash that quickly because we don't like the sound of it. And I agree with that. But I also just think that we don't give each other enough time to explain the points we make. So everything.
Yeah, exactly. And
everybody starts getting oversensitive, and starts fucking kicking off, and you become.
Well, here's the differentiation that I make if she would have asked for context. I believe personally, and this is just my opinion, the Jews are an ethno-religious group. Christians and Muslims aren't. When I say Muslims that I want to exterminate, I'm only talking about the people who actually practice Islam. So when I say that, my statement is that anyone who actually truly follows Islam to the letter of the law and is a true Muslim is a fucking ISIS fighter. Like that is the conclusion you would come to if you read the Quran, the Hadiths, and the Tafsirs, which is why you see so many people from the Western world, these white, kids from the United States and the UK and France, they sit down, they're the lost boys, like Peter Pan's lost boys, and then the Muslims bring them in and they give them the Quran and the Hadiths and they start reading it, and they're like, oh shit, we're supposed to kill the Jews and the Christians and all the disbelievers, and we should go cut all their heads off and we should fucking murk every one of them. But like, when you're raised in like a Muslim household in like, the United States from a Lebanese family, you read these verses, then you go to your grandmother or your father and you say, hey dad, or your mom, and you say, hey, real cool question. Are we supposed to be killing the disbelievers? And they go, no, we don't do that. That's end times. And, Allah's going to do that, blah, blah. And they just lie to them. And they water it all down. And then the reality is, like, most Muslims don't actually practice their religion. So, yeah, when I say that all the Muslims should be wiped out, I only mean the ones that actually practice Islam. And if they truly practice Islam, then they're just fucking ISIS fighters. If there's some kid that says, oh, I'm Muslim, but he's, like, eating a bacon cheeseburger, have premarital sex, and drinking alcohol, and, he's bisexual, and, he's got an LGBT awareness flag and stuff like that, or whatever, or pride flag. I don't consider that person a Muslim. Same way with a Christian when they say, well, look at the Christians that, killed all the Jews or killed all the, the Muslims or went around and like raped little boys and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but if you were to actually practice the tenets of Christianity, there's nowhere in the New Testament that says that you should be banging kids or cutting people's heads off. But just by the basis of the Quran, the Hadiths, and the Tafsirs alone, that is exactly what the fucking instruction is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't want to kill a girl wearing a hijab. I don't want to kill anybody. I'm saying like hypothetically parallel universe, blah blah, mythical fucking realm of existence, whatever. But like, the girl that working at Starbucks wearing a fucking LGBT pant.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if she's wearing a hijab and saying that she is Muslim.
Oversensitive and fucking kicking off and you become.
Well, here's the differentiation that I make if she would have asked. I just see what the next 50 years is going to be personally. And this is just 50 years unless the shit gets nifty. Jews are ethno-religious. I mean, they just have our Christians and Muslims are. When I say Muslims that I want to exterminate,
I'm only talking about the people who actually practice Islam. So when I say that, my statement is that anyone who actually truly follows Islam to the letter of the law,
so
is a true Muslim, is a fucking ISIS fighter.
Throughout all of their parliaments, their parliament,
that's the conclusion you would come to
the House
if you read the Quran, the Hadith, and the Tafsirs, which is why you see so many people from the Western world,
you know what I'm talking about? The people that are
like the United States, the UK, France,
like their
they sit
family
down,
and stuff like
the
that.
lost boys, like Peter Pan's lost boys, and then the Muslims bring them in, and they give them the Quran and the Hadith, and they start reading it. They're like, oh shit, we're supposed to kill the Jews and the Christians and all the disbelievers.
They can line up 1,000 people in the middle of London and sit there
and raised in like a Muslim household in like the United States from a Lebanese family. You read these verses and you go to your grandmother or your father and you say, hey, dad, or your mom, and you say, hey,
because she's standing outside.
You kill the disbelievers, and they go, no, we don't do that. That's end times. Allah's going to do that. Blah blah. And they just lie to them. They water it all down. And then the reality is, like, most Muslims don't actually practice their religion. So, when I say that all the Muslims should be wiped out, I only mean ones that actually practice Islam.
Imagine
if they truly practice Islam, then they're just like ISIS fighters.
The rest of the Western world shit. I mean,
there's some kid that says, oh, I'm Muslim, but he's like
videos where they
bacon cheeseburger, have premarital sex, and drink alcohol. He's bisexual. He's got an LGBT awareness flag and stuff like that, or whatever. Or pride flag. I don't consider that person the same way with a Christian when they say, well, look at the Christians that, killed all the Jews or killed all the, the Muslims or went around and like raped little boys and stuff. I'm like, yeah, but if you were to actually practice the tenets of Christianity, there's nowhere in the New Testament that says that you should be banging kids or cutting people's heads off. But just by the basis of the Quran and Hadith and the Tafsirs alone, that is exactly what the fuck is
these stormy beaches. It's going to be, cyber attacks and biological warfare.
Yeah, I don't want to kill a girl wearing a hijab. I don't want to kill anybody. I'm saying that hypothetically,
not necessarily just that. What if it's a mass migration of millions of Muslims to Europe and the United States, and they're just conquering us?
Yeah, exactly.
That's fucking crazy. And they're popping out 8 kids each for a while.
Well, here's the differentiation that I think
Did you hear about Texas?
I believe
Texas, they wanted to build a Muslim-only community.
Jews are ethno-religious
people within a religious community outside
Christians and Muslims aren't.
The state
when
of
I
Texas
say
actually had to take
Muslims
it
that I
upon
want to
themselves
exterminate,
actually
I'm only talking about
communities
people
where
who actually practice Islam.
within those communities.
When I say that, my statement is that anyone who actually truly follows Islam to the letter of the law, as a true Muslim, is a fucking ISIS fighter. Like that's
the most conservative state.
That is
when you get
conclusion you
pulled
would
over by
come to
the police,
if you read the Quran, the Hadith, and the Tafsirs, which is why you see so many people from the Western world,
just want to let you know
these white, kids from the United States, UK, France, they sit down,
the most conservative state,
boys, like Peter Pan's lost boys, and then the Muslims bring them in, and they give them the Quran and the Hadith, and they start reading it, and they're like, oh shit, we're supposed to kill the Jews and the Christians and all the disbelievers. We should go cut all our heads off, and we should fucking murk every one of them. But like, when you're raised in like a Muslim household in like the United States from a Lebanese family, you read these verses, then you go to your grandmother or your father, you say, hey dad, or your mom, and you say, hey, rule of question, are we supposed to be killing the disbelievers? And they go, no, we don't do that. That's end times, and Allah's gonna do that, blah blah. And they just lie to them. They water it all down. And then the reality is, like, most Muslims don't actually practice their religion. So, yeah, when I say that all the Muslims should be wiped out, I only mean the ones that actually practice Islam. And if they truly practice Islam, then they're just fucking ISIS fighters. If there's some kid that says, oh, I'm Muslim, but he's like eating a bacon cheeseburger, have premarital sex, and drinking alcohol, and he's bisexual, and he's got an LGBT awareness flag and stuff like that, or whatever, or pride flag. I don't consider that person a Muslim. The same way with a Christian, when they say, well, look at the Christians that killed all the Jews or killed all the the Muslims or went around and like raped little boys and stuff. I'm like, yeah, but if you were to actually practice the
tenets of Christianity. There's nowhere in the New Testament that says that you should be banging kids or cutting people's heads off. But just by the basis of the Quran, the Hadith, and the tafsirs alone, that is exactly what the Prophet instructs you to do. Exactly. Yeah, I don't want to kill a girl wearing a hijab. I don't want to kill anybody. I'm saying like hypothetically parallel universe.
We don't give each other enough time to explain which can ruffle a few feathers.
Yeah, exactly. And
everybody starts getting oversensitive and fucking kicking off and you become.
Well, here's the differentiation that I make if she would have asked for context. I believe personally, and this is just my opinion, Jews are a more religious
need to learn about
groups. Christians and Muslims aren't. When I say Muslims that I want to exterminate, I'm only talking about the people who actually practice Islam. So when I say that, my statement is that anyone who actually truly follows Islam to the letter of the law, that is a true Muslim,
for the most part,
is a Muslim ISIS fighter.
When somebody rubs them the wrong way, they push back against you.
That is the conclusion you come to if you read the Quran, the Hadith, and the tafsirs, which is why you see so many people in the Western world.
I was
these white kids from the United States and the UK and France. They sit down, the lost boys, like Peter Pan's lost boys, and then the Muslims bring them in, and they give them the Quran, the Hadith, and they start reading it. And they're like, oh shit, we're supposed to kill the Jews and the Christians and all the disbelievers. We should go cut all our heads off and we should fucking murk every one of them. But like, when you're raised in like a Muslim household in like the United States with a Lebanese family, you read these verses, then you go to your grandmother or your father, and you say, hey dad, or your mom, and you say, hey, real quick question, are we supposed to be killing the disbelievers? And they go, no, we don't do that. That's it.
12:30 where I am. Yeah.
Oh, fair enough. No, Meg, you were in the room the other day when there was a big crash out on something that I'd said, which I never got to really fully explain because everybody didn't like what I said, and then effectively found myself in the doghouse. I apologized, all right, but that's what happens. People are oversensitive. Pretty sure you were there, Meg.
Okay, there's a couple of rooms I was in. Was it the one where like there was a woman running it? Like a British woman was running it?
A British woman? No, it was in Julia's room.
Yeah. Okay. So it was like the friend room, like
Yeah, exactly.
You had a crash out?
I never crashed out. I don't normally crash out. I can say things, and then other people can crash out. I think that's what happened with Of Course. Is that right? Of Course, you said something and everybody else crashed out.
Oh yeah, I said that Hitler killed the wrong people. He should have killed the Muslims.
Yeah, I could see how that could become a crash out conversation.
And then the other one that I had was with Roya, where I was saying that the Iranians are a bunch of pussies because every time we talk to them about taking back their country, they say they want to take back their country, but then they give us 1,000,001 excuses why they can't and why the IRGC is so strong and that they would all be murdered, destroyed, and they end up just talking about the IRGC like they're the boogeyman and like they're the great Satan that can't be defeated.
I mean,
yeah, you'll be under my impression.
I mean, the IRGC is no joke. I mean, they've bombed the entire Middle East, which that's quite a feat. But yeah, no, they were just psychos. So I could maybe see where that would be.
Yeah, but like Yulia and Roya were explaining to me, and some of their Iranian friends were saying, you don't understand that when you live in Iran, nobody knows who the IRGC is. And then I spoke to a guy who's against the IRGC, who served in Artash and, was a guy that's lived over there for like 50 years and now lives in like over here in the West and stuff. But he was telling me, he's like, that's complete bullshit. He's like, everybody knows somebody who's in the IRGC. It's either their cousin or their uncle or their dad or, just people know who they are within the community. I'm not saying every one of them are known, but there's enough of them that are known that if 30 guys wanted to get machetes and meat cleavers and go kick in their door or just jump them in the middle.
He's so stupid. What a weird guy. Oh, she got on that Ozempic. Is it her baby? She's from Newport Beach. She's still working at Google. Don't have children. Nope. She lost a whole bunch of weight. It must have been that Ozempic. Must have been the Ozempic. Damn. Okay, I'm shutting down for the night. This is John for Congress.com. Hope you enjoyed today's live streams. Health, wealth, love, peace of mind, happiness, and strength. God bless.